air filter components, take off the carburetor off the fuel tank, off a Briggs and Stratton 5 horsepower motor that's probably 15 to 20 years old. Carburetor needs cleaned out. Pretty sure where the fuel flows in, not from the fuel pipe but from my brass fitting, is clogged up. So I need to go ahead and get that unclogged, because right now it'll only run if I put fuel directly into the carburetor and put it on full throttle. It's not how I want to run the engine. It's something I got for free, something I chose to rebuild. Piston looks good. I did a ton of work to this, but I'm going to take you through some step-to-step processes on how this. Okay, so starting right here on the top, here's your exhaust. This is where your air filter is. Underneath here is your carburetor and then your fuel tank. So what you're going to need to start is a flathead screwdriver. And you got a bolt, flathead screw on each side. They're also hex, so you can use either or, doesn't matter. Just loosen that up, take it off, and if you look inside here, this is the new air filter I put on. It's got a little plastic cap that secures the filter in place. So I went ahead and replaced that. You also got your first line filter here, which is just some foam with a little screen on it. And a little plastic guide piece here that I went ahead and cleaned up. This is for the outside of your exhaust. There's a little black sloping side here that goes on the same slope as your exhaust. So you want to take that, tuck your foam filter down in there, and then take your air filter and set it right on top. So we're going to take this out the way, and now you got 4 bolts in here. This thing was completely rusted out when I got it. There's a little bit of pitting in this area, but it's not anything to worry about. It's so small, I'm not concerned. So I'm going to go ahead and take these out. I have 3 bolts and 1 screw in here. The screw is one that I replaced in this corner. It is the one that connects to my throttle and run control. I replaced it because the other one was really rusted out and to where you couldn't even get a socket on it. Now the other 3 in here are 5/16, so you just want to take those out. And really, you just loosen them up enough to be able to take them out by hand. I like to keep all my parts together, so I'll leave all my bolts and my screw right here in the tray. That way you don't go losing anything. And just one more bolt on here. This one's hard to get your fingers on because it's right in the corner, so it's easier just to use the socket on it. Especially if you got big hands. But after you take those off, this part should just come up, and right underneath here is a gasket that connects to this part. I got it sealed on the bottom up here. I'm going to take this and set it aside now. And now in here are all your connections for your throttle, for your run, for your governor. So you're going to have to go ahead and disconnect some of this stuff just to get it out the way, or else you're going to have to be working around it, which is never any fun. So because I do have hex bolts in there, I need to get my hex. you have two over here. One of them's holding down the carburetor. The gas comes all the way over here. The other one's holding on your run and throttle control. You have another one here and one tucked back in here. So we'll just go ahead and start removing all these. And I'll put them in the same tray as my air filter because it's easier. As you can see, there's two screws holding this part down. One of them also holds the carburetor. So once you get this part loose, you'll be able to take your throttle control and start off. And once you do, the part that goes to your choke is also connected to this. So you want to take that off. And you do that just by taking it and turning it and sliding it out, and then your choke rod can stay on there. I'm going to take it out and put it over here for later. And I'm just going to take this and set it down on my crank handle. Now right here you got other ones, they're sitting in place. There's a little long pin here on your plastic piece. You just take, pop it out, and set that off to the side. And you got to take this bolt off right here, which will disconnect the rest. It's also 5/16. Just got to loosen it some. You really don't want to tighten stuff down too hard with these. You know, you want them snug. Everything's to a certain weight or capacity, because a lot of this is made out of aluminum as the bolts are hardened. So after you get this bolt out, you can just take your plastic piece here, pull it off, and you can set that to the side also. So now you got those off. And go ahead and take this bolt and set it off to the side also. And go ahead and disconnect my fuel. Set that off to the side, turn it. I need another hex. At this point, your carburetor is almost free from the fuel tank. Just one more bolt, the one that holds on your heat shield and your fuel line clamp, just over here on this side. So you can go ahead and lift that up out of place. Side. I'm going to keep my clamp and this bolt together. So this is just a little clamp that goes on there. Hold your metal fuel line down. And now this is disconnected from the fuel tank, but it's still connected to your intake valve over here. Need bigger hex bolts to get those. It's kind of hard to get to this one without taking off the fuel tank, and I have no desire to take the fuel tank off again, so I'm not going to. Now to remove it from your intake valve, you got two different star bolts over here. Because I don't want to take off the fuel tank, you can't get a screwdriver in at this one, so it's easier just to take a wrench and loosen it. Like I said, these shouldn't be in really tight. There's really no point for them to be. You gotta have them snug, have the proper gasket on there, and you'll be good. That one loosened. The top one here, you'll be able to fit your star on. Just be able to take it out. There's that. Put that in my little tray also. Keep working on this one. It's hard to get your fingers in there to work at it. Now the fuel tank's something I had already put in previously too, so that's another reason why I don't want to take it back out. But I want to show you the proper way to take all this off without having to take all the additional steps, but still doing it right. You know, taking pride in your work and taking things slow and doing it right the first time is kind of what it's all about. Take this little rod off here too. It's still pretty snug. But it is coming loose, just a process. We just about got it. And there's the second one. Then with that, you'll be able to pull this back. Slide this heat shield to the side some. Like I forgot one of these down in here. Just go ahead and take that out. With that loosened, be able to free it from its gasket. I do have fuel in here. So here's my gasket that I got on here already. I had it sealed. I'm going to have to reseal it. So that's how you take that apart. Here's your carburetor. This is your fuel pipe that went down here. I already replaced that. I'll explain that to you. This is the part that I need to clean out the most right here. So I'm going to go ahead and move on and take that to a separate video. That's how you break it down.